Friends, today we are going to discuss a very interesting and important topic from Indian Penal Code. According to me, it is the soul and heart of the IPC for the simple reason that this topic provides doors for the purpose of getting the acquittal of the accused even in most serious offences. Therefore, every student of law, every advocate practicing especially on criminal side should learn and study this topic from the bottom of his heart. So friends, here let us start with this particular topic which is provided in chapter 4 sections 76 to 106 of the IPC, and this topic has been independently provided in IPC. There are certain basic reasons as to why this is so, why all these general exceptions are provided in a separate chapter. Now let us start with this topic with nature and importance of general exceptions. Generally, we say that act coupled with guilty mind will amount to an offence. Mere act by itself will not amount to an offence unless the act is done with particular kind of intention in the mind of the accused. And therefore, you will find that in general exceptions, the state of mind, that is the condition of mind of the accused, is greatly considered for the purpose of imposing liability and getting the accused acquitted from his criminal liability in a trial against the accused in respect of an offence. Though the act committed by the person amounts to an offence, the accused will not be punished if at all general exception is available to him and the general exception is applicable to the particular trial. So here the general exceptions are known as limitations or exceptions to the Indian Penal Code, to the criminal liability as such. And therefore this topic and these exceptions, these provisions are of great importance. As just now I told you, the basis of general exceptions is mens rea. If we study any of the general exception, you will find guilty mind of the person committing the act, that is the accused, are considered in almost every exception under this particular topic. Whether the guilty mind was present, whether the act committed by the accused is with particular kind of intention required for the purpose of constituting an offence or no, all these things are considered in general exceptions. And therefore, if the accused adduced circumstances on record during the course of trial for the purpose of availing himself the benefit of any of the general exception, the law will not punish the accused though the act committed by him amounts to an offence. So friends, here mens rea is the basis for the general exception as such. One more question we comes to our mind, that why they are known as general. The exceptions provided in this particular topic are known as general exceptions. A simple question comes, why they are general? Because these exceptions are available to any kind of offence defined in IPC, and therefore these exceptions are applicable in respect of any offence if at all the general exception fits for the purpose of availing during the course of trial, and therefore This is the simple reason as to why they are known as general exceptions. Now, friends, here, before looking to the general exceptions as provided in this particular chapter, let us have a look to certain relevant provisions in IPC as well as in Indian Evidence Act. Section 6 of the Indian Penal Code is applicable here, and that is also equally important for our study purpose. This section reads like this: definitions in the code to be understood subject to the exceptions. Throughout the IPC, you will find every definition of the offense, illustrations provided in the particular section, and provisos to the section. All these definitions, illustrations, and provisos, they are to be understood subject to the general exceptions. So here, though these exceptions are not provided immediately after the particular definition in the particular section, even then these exceptions are available for the purpose of imposing liability or not imposing liability against the accused person, and therefore section 6 is very much important for our study purpose here. One more thing I would like to mention here in respect of burden of proof. Friends, all of you are well aware that there are certain principles of law relating to burden of proof and onus of proof in criminal trial. You might be knowing as to there is a difference between onus and burden. It is said that burden remains constant, but the onus shifts. Onus keeps changing, the burden remains one and the same. So this is a very thin line of difference between these two, burden and onus. Onus shifts, burden is constant. But here, what are those principles which one should bear in mind while conducting the criminal trials? Number one, the prosecution will have to prove its case beyond reasonable doubt. This is known to every lawyer practicing on criminal side. Second is, the accused need not prove his innocence. No burden lies on the accused to prove his innocence. Number three, defenses, defective defense, defects in defense, these cannot be ground for convicting the accused. A very important thing to be considered: though there is a deficiency, though there is a defect in defense, that cannot be a ground to convict the accused. Next is, the prosecution will have to stand on its own legs. The prosecution cannot take advantage or benefit of weaknesses of the defense. So friends, these are the principles which should be borne in mind while considering this topic. So here, along with these principles, let us consider the provisions of section 105 of the Indian Evidence Act, a very important section which you should read again and again during the course of trial while applying the provisions of general exceptions. Friends, you will find, if we look to the wordings used in this particular section, you will find that this provision is somewhat neutral in nature, for the simple reason that this provision is not only applicable for the offenses defined in IPC, but there are certain other criminal laws, other laws also, which provides for the penal provisions, and therefore section 105 will be applicable not only for a trial in criminal court in respect of the offense under IPC, but this section will be applicable to other offenses defined under other criminal laws. Now let us have a look to the wordings used here. When the accused wants to take advantage or benefit of any of the general exceptions, it is for the accused to prove the existence of circumstances bringing his case within any of general exceptions, or within special exceptions or provisos contained in IPC or in the law providing for the offense, defining the offense. The last words used in this section plays a very vital role, and those words are: the court shall presume absence of existence of those circumstances as such. So therefore, friends, burden is imposed on the accused to bring forth the circumstances making him entitled to take advantage of any of general exceptions to the particular trial as such. Now here, another important aspect to be considered here: quantum of burden of proof. Just now we have seen that it is for the accused to adduce those circumstances on record. But the question again here, which is to be borne in mind, is that whatever the burden is imposed by law on the shoulders of the prosecution to prove his case beyond reasonable doubt, that much burden is not imposed over the accused for the purpose of bringing those circumstances on record. The accused can just show the preponderance of probability, existence of preponderance of probability, that by itself will be sufficient. The strict proof, principle of strict proof, will not be applicable here against the accused person. So therefore, friends, this is a very important thing which you should bear in mind, that a less kind of onus is imposed on the shoulders of the accused for the purpose of bringing those circumstances on record. Now here, suppose the accused fails to adduce sufficient circumstances or circumstances making entitled him to avail the benefit of general exceptions, whether this fact by itself will be sufficient to convict him, that is also an important thing to be considered. The answer to this is no. The burden on the shoulders of the prosecution always remains constant, and the prosecution is under legal liability in all kinds of circumstances to prove its case beyond reasonable doubt. And if at all the accused fails to bring those circumstances on record, even then that cannot be a ground to convict the accused, especially in the facts and circumstances, if the prosecution is not in a position to bring the evidence on record to prove the guilt against the accused person. So friends, here, this is also a very interesting thing to be considered while discussing the provisions of general exception. Now let us have a look as to what are those general exceptions provided in sections 76 to 106. I have jotted it down in a very narrow compass, which will be very much useful for you while studying this somewhat large topic as such. Let us have a look to these provisions one by one. Number 1, section 76 and section 79, that is general exception in respect of mistake of fact. Next is section 77 and 78, that is in respect of judicial acts. Number 3, section 80 in respect of accident. Number 4, section 81 in respect of necessity as such. Next is section 5, number 5, 82 and 83, section 82 and 83, that is infancy or minority as such. In other words, that is act of child. Next is number 6, section 84, insanity, a very important topic which we are going to discuss in detail. Number 7, section 85 and 86, 85 and 86, that is in respect of intoxication, a very interesting and important topic. Number 8, section 87 and 89, section 87 to 92, that is in respect of consent, act done with consent. Whose consent is necessary, whether the consent should be valid or no, whether the consent is legal or no. These are the things we are going to discuss at the relevant time. Number 10, section 94, that provides for in respect of duress, that is when there is a promise, when there is a threat or act of compulsion, in other words. Next is section 95 in respect of trifle acts. Here friends, that is the very important general exception we are going to discuss in detail at the relevant time. And last is a bunch of sections, that is 96 to 106 in respect of right of private defense. Now friends, here these are the general exception in nutshell, and we are going to discuss all these general exceptions at the relevant time with necessary details and importance thereof, along with the landmark judgments as far as these topics are concerned. So friends, here this is a part 1 of the general exceptions. Rest of things in detail with important case laws we are going to discuss in part 2 of this particular video. Now friends, don't forget to subscribe my channel and to like the channel by forwarding to your friends and colleagues.